What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new On the Stoa video. My name is John Nathaniel, and this video, it's been a long time since I posted one. So welcome back. I've been busy teaching, trying to get that under my feet, but here I am, live and in video. Today's video is going to be titled, One Thing I Wish I'd Known and Learned When I Was Younger, or something to that effect. Graduating high school and transitioning from teenagerhood into young adulthood, I made so many mistakes with things that I fell flat on my face and ignored people's advice. Where they had sound wisdom, but I ignored it because my own stupidity, my own pride. Essentially, my vices, and the temptations of the vices got in the way of me being a virtuous person. Now, to some degree, this is a part of growing up, learning to make mistakes, learning to overcome mistakes, learning to get back up after falling on your face. Part of this is an aspect of growing up as you unfold into a young man, into a young woman, into who you are called and purposed to be. But in saying that, I think there's one thing that I'd wish I had truly learned slash internalized when I was younger and just getting started out with learning how to be an independent man. And it's that essentially I didn't have to experience the bad things of life, the negative side of life, experience all these vices to know that these things were bad in and of themselves. Many a time that I've gotten myself into a bad situation, it was because I didn't do prior research or someone had warned me about this experience in the past and I still ignored it. And out of my own pride, because I was like, oh, I'm my own person. I want to be who I want to be, my own stupidity in that. I got myself into that situation, fell flat on my face, got roughed up, and all that kind of stuff. And looking back, I'm like, I didn't have to go through that in order to know that it was bad. I could have just listened to the person, encountered and taken in their pain and notice how like that they were talking from experience to know that like this is something that I need to stay away from. And I think that this is something that for any young person, that this is something that they truly need to internalize, that you don't need to experience these bad vice filled things to know that they're bad. You don't need to kill somebody to know that murder is bad. You don't need to you don't need to purposely hit somebody with your car to know that doing something like that is bad and suffering the consequences of that action. You don't need to be hooking up with everybody and partaking into hookup culture to know that doing such thing over time will degrade and tarnish your soul. To know that it will be hard for you to, as Seneca notes in the on the shortness of life, that it will be hard to get back up out of that vice because it's something that traps you. You don't need to experience any of these things, and it's a blessing for those who have had to the life experience to not experience those things. There have been those who haven't been raised in an environment where vice is easy to get into. It is a blessing to have good parents that raise you in virtue, that raise you in a faithfulness to God, to where you don't need to fall into the traps of Satan to know that these things are bad. For those who read the Bible, right? Here's a couple of examples. You don't need to commit adultery. You don't need to follow in the footsteps of David to commit adultery and then try to cover it up by hurting somebody else to know that doing something like that is bad. You can literally look and see the experience of David, how he never had peace in his kingdom after that. His son from that affair died, and you don't need essentially you don't need to experience those things to know that they're bad. And ultimately, I think in order to truly embrace this idea of learning from others' mistakes, to avoid those same traps, it takes a degree of humility to say, I don't know everything. And yes, I am living my own life. Yes, I have my own desires, both good and both bad. But in recognizing the humanity of another person and knowing that this person is just as human as I am, that they experience pain, they experience loss, they experience sorrow. And that is something that I don't need to experience. I know how I feel when I'm sad. I know how I feel when I feel empty on the inside. Do I need to experience that? No, I don't need to. And so, in having that humility, having that empathy, in recognizing the the human experience of the other person when they're providing you the wisdom, when you know that they're talking from a source of reality that they experienced, that it is something that you have to internalize in that sense to be able to recognize, again, having the humility, having the empathy to be like, they went through something that was totally crazy. I don't need to go through that. So that's essentially the point of this video, to as we enter into the holiday season, as the year comes to a close and things kind of start to slow down with the cold and everything coming into play and the snow and all of that, we have time to reflect on our own life. Where have we gone wrong because of our own folly, because of our own ignorance and our ignoring other people's wisdom that they provided to us? And where can we be better moving into this next year or even moving into the next few weeks? And even in that too, where is it that we can help other people with our experiences? Every single one of your experiences in your life has is a teaching moment for somebody else. You can help someone avoid that same pain that you went through by providing them the same advice. Now, whether or not they take it, that's on them. But because you're providing that wisdom, you're giving them a roadmap to avoid that folly, that vice, that experience that could potentially hurt them really bad. And so as we move forward and as we try to become more virtuous people, more Christ-like people, more people that are righteous, that are virtuous, that we choose to listen to others, have that humility, and to acknowledge the experience of other people, to know that I don't need to experience that same folly. I don't need to have my pride in the way of something that can ultimately benefit me. Because as the scriptures say, pride goeth before a fall. And just because one person survived that experience, albeit scraped up and bruised up, that doesn't mean that if you were to go through that same experience, that you would not end up any worse than that. Because ultimately, what helped them or what got, even though they came out scraped and bruised, it could be your end. So that's all I got for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Advent, Happy Hanukkah, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care of yourselves and be well. Bye, guys.